White Rocket Entertainment podcast number 956. Some big fish have landed on the plains. We're going to throw them in the pan and cook them up and talk about them, John. The AU Wishbone is next. From the slightly warmer southern Illinois and eastern Virginia, I always get a weather report from you at this time in the show. It's the AU Wishbone podcast, John. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm well, Van. How are you?
I'm good. It's we're recording this on Sunday night this week, January 11th at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. In just a matter of a handful of hours, it'll be yet another birthday for me. And I have a whole new perspective on birthdays the last few years. I used to dread them and think, oh, I don't want to be any older. I don't want to be older. And now I look at them and say, I made it to another one. Take that, God of death, right? Because you remember, victory. John, as you and I have always said, what do we say to the God of death?
Not today.
Not today. Not today, my friend. That's it. And that's another birthday that I said no. All right, so we're going to talk about what's going on in the portal. We're going to talk about the basketball team. There's a lot going on, but before we do any of that, of course, it's the Auburn Fun Meter. It's our weekly look at how much fun it is to be an Auburn fan right this very minute. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you sitting at right tonight, Jonathan?
This is a tougher one. A lot of big portal acquisitions. It's a big portal acquisitions. A tough basketball loss and a gigantic basketball win.
Yeah.
But it's at the moment, it's pretty fun to be an Auburn fan.
Well, you know, the basketball taketh away, but then the basketball giveth back sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm going to say 7.
Yeah, I think that's a good baseline number for us to start with tonight. We'll see if we find more reasons even than that to be excited as we go along. So, all right. Well, we're going to talk about the portal. So we have our portal theme.
There will come a payday. Hallelujah, what a payday. There will come a payday someday. Someday there will come a payday. Hallelujah, what a payday. There will come a payday someday.
Yahoo! There you go. All right. So, and remember, when the portal giveth, we have okay. And when the portal taketh away, and we had both this week. There you go. So, which one are we talking about first? Is the portal give a thing or take a thing away?
We're going to start with neither players who decided not to enter the portal.
All right.
Who chose door number 3, just stay at home. And so 2 big players, Jeremiah Cobb, the leading rusher, returning to Auburn, and Sylvester Smith, who started at Nickelback and played a lot the last 2 years, both coming back.
And that's 2 really good, not acquisitions, but retentions. That's what I'm thinking of, retaining, because combined with who we've got coming in, particularly in the running back room, as they say, our running back room is looking pretty darn good. I feel like we've traded up.
We're going to talk about that. I feel the same way.
I feel like we have traded up. All right. So Jeremiah Cobb, Sylvester Smith, suffering succotash. Where is that Tweety Bird? Now, I wanted to mention, I saw one analyst put it this way. Said we have about 20 transfers coming in so far. We have like 37 going out. But you also have freshmen coming in and other things. And we're not done in the portal. So Auburn will probably add maybe 8 more, they were saying. We still need offensive linemen. We know that. We may want to get, another quarterback, some kind of a, basically to play the role that Ashton Daniels played for most of
veteran backup.
until he ended up being the best option. Maybe another receiver, and then certainly defensive line and defensive back. You got to feel like the linebackers are pretty good. And, pointing out, though, because this is something we need to talk about tonight, we haven't added a lot of 4 and 5 star guys, mostly 3s. But I think Indiana is demonstrating for everybody that having 3 stars that know what they're doing and want to be there and want to play hard often will not just, overcome, but well overcome having a bunch of rich prima donna playboys, that don't really care and don't really want to be there and don't know the system, maybe just got there or something. So I feel really good about our offense, and we're going to talk about that too. And and the analyst ended up saying, I'm not sure this is a championship caliber team, but it definitely looks like a good start in the right direction for Auburn. Your thoughts on that?
I agree. I mean, I think so many players coming with these coaches from South Florida, people will say, oh, those are South Florida guys, but some of those are guys that Auburn and other SEC schools recruited when they went there. But also, as we've said, these guys are coming with these coaches because they value these coaches and they want to be where they are, but also they know the systems. So we're going to hit, it's not like we got a bunch of random puzzle pieces. We're trying to fit it together and teach them the system. We got a bunch of guys that already know the system. Yes. And on offense and on defense, we got a bunch of guys that know the system coming back as well. We're going to be fine in terms of that stuff. So I think that's big.
I just cannot emphasize enough how big that is. This is like the first time in Auburn history. There have been plenty of times that we've brought in a new coach or a new coordinator on one side of the ball, the other. I mean, almost every year it seems like, but this is really the first time in Auburn history that we've brought in a coach, and that coach has been able to bring a whole bunch of their offensive players that already know how to play it. So it's like, it's a huge head start.
It is. And we've seen this at other colleges over the last 4 or 5 years. People bring in the offensive coordinator and the quarterback and some other guys, and it's been a huge jump start that allowed them to progress much more quickly.
Yeah. So let's see who's heading out. We had a couple that hit the old
eject button.
So Tyler Johnson.
He's an offensive tackle that, people kept talking up at spring practice. I felt like he had a future and was developing. So I don't like that one. Yeah. He probably wasn't going to start this year, but he was a guy that everybody felt like was going to compete for a spot and be a future potential starter.
And I mean, again, we need offensive linemen. We don't want to be shedding them still. And then Eric Singleton. Now, all right, this is a weird one because he had announced for the NFL draft, and then suddenly decided on second thought, I'm going to Florida. So It seems like he didn't the whole evaluation thing didn't work out for him the way that he hoped it would.
Well, and it's not just that. I'm going to say something else that's going to drive some people crazy. He's going to make more money at Florida than he would in the NFL next year.
Yeah. That is the way of things now. Isn't that crazy?
He's not going to be a first-round pick like some people projected a year or two ago. And because he was banged up a lot this year, not quite as productive. And he gets to go back to Florida with his former offensive coordinator, Buster Faulkner. Yeah. And so he feels like he'll have a very productive season there and then be in a better position to go pro a year from now.
I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to the idea that these players make more money in college than they make in the NFL. I mean, it's one of those things that is just almost instantly happened, but it just doesn't compete with anything from my entire lived experience of my life up until this point.
Yes.
It just seems so strange. So, all right. And then, who we got coming in? Let's hit the big one first, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a little in the background. All right. Who we got coming in since we last spoke?
Since we last recorded a podcast, quarterback Byron Brown from South Florida has signed with Auburn.
Oh, yes.
Big.
And I mean, again, knowing the offense and everything, but the statistics, number 1 in the nation in total yards per game, number 6 in passer rating. And tell that little statistic you found about his
So
pass.
he was number 6 in passer rating for all games. Against ranked teams, he was 3rd in the country. So number 1 was a guy at Air Force who played 1 game against ranked teams. Number 2 was the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza. Number 3 was Brown. Okay, the rest of the top 10 list is like quarterback at Georgia, other top quarterbacks that everybody's name you've heard of, and Byron Brown was number 3. So
the next time somebody pulls that he hadn't played anybody, you can say, "Oh, he did." And in fact, remember, he had as many SEC wins last year as Auburn did.
That's right. And he played Miami and Florida this current past season, and was better against them than a lot of other quarterbacks were. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 3,158 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
1,008 yards rushing, 5.7 per, 14 touchdowns. And then you noted that includes sacks. If you just go on rushing, he averaged 7 yards a carry. Oh my gosh, I like that.
So it's insane, the rushing piece of this. Like, if you just took out the passing and considered him a running back, he'd be one of the most effective running backs in America.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a 1,000-yard season. And 7 yards a carry ain't bad.
Yards a carry, 14 touchdowns, 1,000 yards. That's pretty dang good.
And then mix into that equation the fact that in Golesh's offense, you chuck the ball down the field. This is not a little West Coast dink and dunk offense. This is a light up the scoreboard like a pinball machine offense. See Tennessee a couple of years ago.
It is, and he's really good at that. He just, he's not just a runner. He is an excellent deep ball passer. He's very accurate with it. One of the most accurate deep ball passers in the country, and one of the most effective. And he makes they do that thing. They line the receivers out past the numbers. We've talked about this a lot, and they go downfield, and it creates easy one-on-one matchups for the quarterback. And Brown hits them and makes plays, and not just he knows the offense. He's already got receivers on this team he's comfortable with, and he's executed those plays with. We'll get to one of those guys in a minute.
Oh yeah. Well, I want to talk for a second about that offense. I'm not a PhD at understanding this offense, but here's how I understand it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But here's what I like about this offense. Okay, it's set up to be effective at helping the passing game to work because of where it positions the receivers and so forth, right? It's got elements of the old air raid, where the, kind of that basketball on grass approach from Hal Mumme and Mike Leach, the whole idea of spacing and all that. But it also uses some of Steve Spurrier's concepts about you don't have to block a guy if you can make him be in the wrong place through your schemes, which I always thought was really smart of Spurrier, right? And remember how Spurrier was like the first coach in SEC history to set up the run using the pass instead of the other way around. And I feel like this kind of does that too, because when Golesh spreads those receivers so far out and gets them so far away from the box, what happens is the defense can either cover or double cover those receivers, or they can stay in tight in the box, but they got to pick one.
Yes.
And whichever one they put more men on, they have a disadvantage on the other. So you either throw the deep pass or you run the draw or running a handoff or something, and there's suddenly a lot more space. There's not 4 guys standing there waiting to meet you at the line of scrimmage, right? I really like that idea. I like the idea of using where you put your pieces on the chessboard to help those pieces and to influence where the other side puts their pieces. You're dictating to them.
Yes.
I love it.
No, you are. And it's that combined with, they spread out really wide because you spread the receivers out really wide, and then we're hitting them again and again in the face with the power running game. It's the jab kind of thing of like, We're going to run the running back and the quarterback straight up the middle because they've only got a few guys in the box. And then we're going to do all of those things at a very, very high tempo. They don't try to substitute all the time. Mm-hmm. They're not trying to let the defense, mess with them in that way. They're happy to get up to the line of scrimmage and just run the next play and run the next play and run the next play. And when there's a natural break, then they'll substitute some guys out. But they're not going to let the defense, do that slow walk on the field thing while the referee stands over the ball. They're going to keep it moving. And they did have a lot of balance last year. The South Florida offense, hold on a second. Let me get you the exact number here. I think people will appreciate this. South Florida threw the ball 405 times last year and ran the ball 506 times last year.
Wow. So, he said he was going to run. He said.
Yeah. And they run the ball effectively. They run the ball a lot, and I think Auburn fans are going to be happy with that part. They're going to keep teams off balance and then run the ball. And Brown, bringing it back to him, is an explosive runner, but he's also a powerful runner. If you haven't seen clips of him, he's a thick set kind of guy, and he'll run over some people and break tackles going up the middle and near the goal line. That's especially effective.
And then the new running back we have coming in can run over some people too. We're going to get to him in just a second. So again, there's just everything I'm hearing about our offense right now is just getting me more and more excited. You had a note about Brown and how you see him working out.
I think he's going to be the best quarterback we've had since Nick Marshall. I really do. I think he's a stud, and I think he's in an offense which is he knows very well and can come in and execute, and he'll have good talent around him. I think he's going to be incredibly effective next year.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm really excited. All right. So you want to talk about the other players that we've signed this week?
Sure. The last 3 days have been kind of
crazy.
Huge. We started in the middle of the week after Brand. We got Cody Sigler, who's a defensive tackle from Arkansas State that a lot of SEC teams wanted, a big active defensive lineman. And then we signed Stanton Ramil, who's an offensive tackle, who's a multi-year starter at Michigan State. Then we signed Joseph Simmons, another multi-year starter from James Madison, who has a couple years left. And
cradle of coaches and linemen, apparently now.
Again, those guys that went to Indiana worked out okay. We hope this guy works out the same. Then we signed Keyshawn Singleton, who was the leading receiver at South Florida last year for the quarterback we just talked about. Singleton is an excellent receiver who has really good relationship with Byron Brown. Singleton had 50 catches for 877 yards and 8 touchdowns. He averaged 17.5 yards a catch. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. By the way, imagine being a South Florida fan and your whole team is left to go to Auburn. I guess you just have to be an Auburn fan. You either hate Auburn or Auburn is now your team, right? There's no middle ground.
I think it's fair. I think there's probably a lot of them that are like, don't.
Right, who do we get next? It gets even better. Go.
Oh, yeah, no, we're just warming up now. So then we got Bryson Washington, the running back from Baylor, that we talked about a lot when we had that game a few months ago.
All right, 6 foot, 216 pounds from Franklin, Texas, starting back from Baylor. I guess we played him last season in the first game.
Did.
I have to go back.
He was banged up a lot, but the year before, it's the 2024 season, he had 1,000 yards rushing.
Okay.
And then last year he was injured a lot and did not make 1,000 yards, but still had a productive season.
He's a inside run game banger. 2 years of eligibility remaining. We needed at least one more running back with experience, having lost Damari Alston and, of course, also lost Durrell Robinson, who we never really got to see do anything. And so with Cobb back as well, we should have a really nice 1-2 punch. And then we have sort of the junior 1-2 punch below them with Mabson and hopefully our other running back.
And we have another running back. We also got the transfer running back from South Florida. So we have Nakai Davenport, who had 600 yards and average 6 yards a carry for them. So I think he's another big, powerful kind of inside guy. But I agree. I think Bryson Washington and Cobb are a fantastic 1-2 punch. We're going to be running the ball, and at the pace they play at, they're going to need multiple big running backs. And we did not have enough running back depth at the end of last year. So I think this is
crazy to think, but yeah, Alvin Henderson's the other guy I was trying to think of. Yeah. Hopefully Alvin hangs around and we'll have a good 1-2 punch come in once these two guys are gone.
Mm-hmm. But I feel really good about it. I think running back has now suddenly become a strength of the team.
Yes.
Between those guys.
Didn't see that a week ago.
No, it didn't.
All right. Who was the next one?
All right. Then we got Jake Johnson, who's a tight end from North Carolina.
All right. Tight end, 6'6", 240 pounds from Georgia. Originally signed with Texas A&M out of high school, transferred to North Carolina. He can catch, he can block. You were talking about how we want to go fast, and I could see where Golesh would like a big pass catching tight end because you can keep him on the field and use him as a receiver or as a blocker. So I could see where that would be a useful thing. He's a good receiver, and it looks like the tight ends certainly have been a point of emphasis. He's only got 1 year of eligibility, but so does his quarterback. So,
well, and Golesh was a tight ends coach at Iowa State, so he knows that he values this position, and they like to keep using tight ends in this offense. So I think this is good, and we needed a kind of a solid starter at that position. I think Johnson could do it. Then we got a guy, another great name, Saint Farmer, a defensive tackle from Appalachian State, a huge guy to be like a nose tackle type.
Saint Farmer, dun 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 dun.
Then we got a guy named Nate Johnson, who was an edge outside linebacker from Missouri, and he was a backup for them last year, but 2 years ago he was at Appalachian State and was really good. He's the guy that replaced our McLeod when he left Appalachian State to come to Auburn. This guy, Nate Johnson, replaced him and had very good production there. So they feel like maybe they're getting some of the same kind of stuff out of him. And then Andre Jordan Jr. is a cornerback who started at UCLA and is a really good player from them. So this is a guy who's probably going to compete immediately for one of the starting cornerback spots. So,
all right. So while we haven't filled every position of need yet, every spot, it's starting to feel like we could actually do a scrimmage now. There was a time about 10 days ago that I was afraid if we had a day, we couldn't do it. You know what I mean? We couldn't even field we couldn't even field the blue team, much less the white team. Yeah. But this is all sounding better. All right. Anything else in transfer portal and player news there?
No, we'll get to some other teams later, but that's it for Auburn.
All right, let's turn our attention quickly to basketball. There were talk about a tale of two games, man. There was the game that made me angrier than any Auburn sporting event since the Final Four, to be honest. Maybe
angry than the Oklahoma game. Okay,
I'll say in basketball. In basketball, maybe angrier because I have a rule. No, you're right, but I have a rule that I don't stay mad about or upset or sad about an Auburn loss more than 1 to 5 minutes. I allow myself 5 minutes if it's a really bad situation, but it's the only way I can cope. But I woke up Wednesday morning angry. I was still angry, and I'm like, just gonna let it happen, just gonna go with it, see what happens, see where it takes me. But I've told the story a couple of times. I'm going to run through it just to remind everybody how horrible it was one more time, because I've told the story so many times now to various people. So we were up about 16 in the first half, and then we went on this run of turning the ball over on the full court press to Texas A&M. And next thing you know, they were on like a 36-6 run or something insane. And they got up about 15 points, and they were leading the whole game to that. We came all the way back, and I think we cut it to when they missed that foul shot and didn't even hit the rim, they were up 2. And we had to inbounds the ball with 0.6 seconds left. and we inbounded it to Keyshawn Murphy, who turned around and put up a half-court prayer that went in. And everybody went crazy. It was midnight or thereabouts here. I was screaming, yelling, running around the living room. Boris was jumping up and down. My wife came running out of the bedroom thinking the house was on fire. She's like, what? What's wrong? I'm like, oh, look. And then as we both looked at the TV, they took it away. They waved it off. They said it. They studied it for like what seemed like hours looking at the Zapruder film and decided that, yes. And they decided that the indisputable evidence emerged after about 10 minutes of careful study, which is absurd. So, yeah. But then as we're going to say in a second, we turn around and won a huge game on Saturday night. So it kind of has a way of evening out, I guess, over time. So let's talk about the A&M game. We protested the SEC just like we did after the Oklahoma football game, but it never amounts to anything.
They got top men researching it. Top men. They said they had, indisputable proof, whatever, but nobody's seen it. So that's what it is.
They put our protest evidence in a wooden crate and filed it away in a warehouse in Washington, D.C.
I was mad about that, but I was also mad about Auburn blowing the huge lead, right?
I know.
We had played so well for stretches of this game. We looked like, all right, we turned in the corner after that Georgia game. And then, but also I think this team was really thin at that point, right? Like Jovic was banged up and missed the second half. And, we didn't have the depth in the backcourt at guard to have enough quality guys to handle a team like A&M that wants to press us. I think if we had, 8 or 9 or 10 guys, we'd have been fine, but we didn't.
It just seems like a crime before God for such a beautiful shot to be waved off when you can't tell. And if you can't tell, you can't overturn it. It's just a crime. But here's the weird thing. I pointed out on Twitter, in Auburn's first 2 SEC games, both games regulation ended with miracle Auburn shots, and we ended up losing both games.
Yes. But I would say both games also ended with the other team ahead because of Auburn defensive lapses that shouldn't have happened and turnovers in this game. The A&M game, they played better defense than they did in the Georgia game. The A&M game, the problem was the offense and turned the ball over in offense.
Yeah. All right. Well, so were you screaming, yelling, going crazy when the ball went in, and how did you react, and what did you do when they waved it off?
I'm going to make a confession to the people on this podcast. I was recording the game and I went to bed.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you saw it in the morning?
I had to get up at 6 a.m. and go to work, and I saw it at that moment.
So did it get spoiled for you?
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You found out what happened before you watched it.
I found out what happened before I rewatched it, yeah.
I was like, all right, game's almost over. I'm going to bed. Well, I'll remind our listeners and our audience that you're an hour later than me, so you have more of an excuse than I do.
No, but what is, again, I speak up for the East Coast Auburn fans. That game started at like 9:15 Eastern time on a weekday.
So. I sounded like Stan White during the kick six. I just put it that way. And then I probably sounded like Nick Saban during the kick six. It was over. All right. So let's see. We did get Jovic back. And I'll say this. We may have lost those 2 games, but the combination of how close they both were, even though we made dumb, terrible mistakes throughout both of them, and then to turn around and beat Arkansas the way we did, this team is not as bad as you might have thought, folks. I mean, they could easily have won both of those games and be 3-0 right now.
Absolutely.
Fact. They didn't get Arizona or Michigan by anybody so far.
No.
They really were. I mean, they did some dumb things. They were unlucky. It's a combination. All right, let's get on to the good stuff. So I didn't have a lot of high hopes last night, Saturday night. It was my older daughter and her fiance came down, and we went to Shogun, and it was so there's 3 females and there's Luke and me. Okay, so Amy and Maddie and Mira are talking in the middle of the Shogun table, the little way you surround the hibachi. Luke is on one end with the Detroit Pistons on his phone, and I'm on the other end with Auburn, Arkansas on my phone. We all kind of had our, you know what I'm saying? And so he's a big Pistons fan. He's from Michigan. So anyway, I was thinking, oh, this is going to not be good, and I'm going to be able to devote my attention to my family here on my birthday dinner. No, I ignored them entirely because we were kicking Arkansas's butt up and down the arena, man. Did you see that coming? And if so, why or how?
No, I didn't see it coming. It was weird, though. People pointed this out. Like, Auburn was favored in Las Vegas by 2.5 points in this game. So sometimes those big shiny buildings in Vegas, like, they know something. And part of what they knew was, A, Auburn is better than they showed, and B, it's a home game in Neville, which it's easy to overlook is still a gigantic home court advantage for us. Yes. And a huge leveler against other teams. And then 3, we were due to play better. And I also think, like, the Pearl and this coaching staff over the years have kind of owned Calipari and found ways to, play well against their team. He kind of has an all-star team that actually doesn't play well together. And even though they had some big guys, they weren't going to use them to pound on us because the guards want to shoot all the time there. So I think that was a big part of it.
And think about this. Steven has coached now about 12, something like a dozen games. He's already beaten Ricky Pitino and John Calipari, and there was another one. I forgot who it was. He beat another. Was it the NC State coach, maybe, or he beat somebody? Was it okay? So I knew he beat somebody else that was like a pretty good reputation. So that's pretty good in your first year, your first 12 games to beat those guys. That's doing all right. So, and we got Jovic back, as I said, but the story of this game was Keyshawn Hall.
It was. Auburn jumped on them early, and Hall came out firing.
On fire.
Played a great game.
First Auburn player back-to-back 30-plus point games since Stick. Wesley Person in 1994 during the Tommy Joe Eagles. Da-da-na-na-na. Da-da-na-na-na. We're on bad to the bone. Da-da-na-na-na. Since the Tommy Joe Eagles era, I would have never guessed that. If you asked me when was the last time Auburn had a player with back-to-back 30-point games, I'd have said Bryce Brown maybe, or Jabari Smith, or I mean, we can just work our way back. There have been plenty, but nobody under Bruce ever did it.
Nope. Shocking.
Yeah. Nobody under Cliff Ellis ever did it. Nobody in the interim between the two, Barbie and Lebo.
Jack Robinson.
It was all the way back to Tommy Joe Eagles. I need to look that up in the book. I got a whole box full of that book over here in front of the monitor. I can dig it out. But that really is amazing. So I'm telling you, Keyshawn Hall is carrying this team on his back sometimes, although the other pieces are certainly helping him. And I'm getting really enamored of Overton. I really like Overton.
Yep.
Isaiah Freeman. And tell you what, Sway needs to learn how to shoot some free throws. He's ticking me off with his horrible free throw shooting. But Murph is awesome. I'm starting to get to know this team. It takes a while, right? When you wholesale bring in new people, it takes a little while. It took us a while to get to know Denver. It took us a little while to get to know those guys on that team, but now we're starting to get to know these guys. But
and Hall is awesome. I want to go back to Jovic for a minute. After the game, Calipari said, what was the name of that big goofy white guy? He killed us. And it's the truth. Like, I was worried about Joe coming back in this game and being healthy, and he was all over the place. He was setting screens, getting rebounds. Hall had a great assist where he dumped it off to him for a dunk. I mean, he was making things happen.
Do you remember what I called him or who I compared him to last week?
No.
Said he was the garbage man. He hangs around under there and picks up the garbage and puts it back in.
He does. He does the dirty work stuff. The garbage man does.
I compared him to Dennis Rodman,
the
guy that's willing to crawl around the floor, fight for every ball, throw his body on the line, and scratch out those points that don't make the highlight reel. Right, a two-handed tomahawk dunk is going to be on Sports Center, but it counts exactly the same as a putback that Jovic grabs the ball off the floor and just lays it in. It counts exactly the same. And he's going to get you those. That's what he does. And you need somebody like that.
Yes.
They're not all running around the three-point line looking for their shot. They're down there scrapping. So I was glad to have him back. Is it time to talk to your family about Tahad Pettiford?
No. I mean, he wasn't terrible in this game. He was solid. He was solid in the Georgia game.
He missed so many shots.
He did, but I also feel like we're at a place where he has to take shots, right? Like, but also he's done a better job running the offense too. I mean, I think like he was good as a creator in this game.
Yeah.
Yet he missed a bunch of shots. He had 6 points in this game, right? But he had 4 rebounds and 7 assists.
That's better. Good. Okay. All right. That's better. Every time he comes down and just shoots, I'm just like, please. When Keyshawn Murphy is knocking down threes and Tahad is clanging it off the rim, I'm just like, come on. When your center is better shooting than you are and you're the 3-point guy, that's not good, man. And I want to make this clear. I love the guy. I want him to be great. I was so happy he came back. He's not helping himself right now. His NBA stock has got to be dropping through the basement right now. I don't know. I always think about Bryce Brown when Bryce became nearly mortal at 3-point shooting during 2019. He went and got with a shooting coach and with his dad and worked on it like for days. And said his dad chewed him out for missing so many shots. And you remember what he did in the tournament. I think everybody remembers what he did in the tournament and then the SEC tournament.
It's fair. I think Tahad, has played better defense too. I think he was part of playing better defense in this game.
Yeah.
I think it's got better than it was early in the season and definitely better than it was last year.
And he also turns the ball over a lot. He made some lazy passes. He made some plays in this game, even when we were up 25 or whatever. He made some plays that, he would just like lackadaisically throw it across the court and somebody would step in front and go the other way with it. And I'm just like, Tahad, for crying out loud, get your head in the game. And I was, all right, the rumors are rumors, but somebody said that he's not been happy off the court. And if that's the case, sometimes that's reflected in how you play on the court. I don't know what he's unhappy about. Figured out.
Well, but let's be clear. He's been in the doghouse. He's been, he's coming off the bench the last 2 games. So,
yeah, from what I understood, that was about being late for a meeting or something.
Yeah,
so that's not good. And you get in the doghouse. Yeah, but that's not like it could be. That's like the least bad thing it could possibly be. Let's be honest, right? I mean, being late for a meeting is the least bad thing that most athletes could get into. I think I can't think of much. What would be less bad than that? Not much. So hopefully he'll get that. Give him a better alarm clock, whatever. Get it straightened out. Did you see? Oh, I wanted to ask you this last week. Did you see how our dear beloved Chad Baker Mazzara got in trouble at USC and got benched? This is so good. He was late for practice at USC. Because he said he was out getting like his 6th driver's license in a different state because he moved to California. So he had to. It's just like when your career is spending a year or 2 at every college in America, you have to keep changing your driver's license. And so he was stuck at the DMZ the DMZ, the DMV. He was stuck in the DMZ, John. They had to send in the Navy SEALs to get him. Now he was stuck at the DMV trying to get that 15th driver's license. That just cracked me up for some reason. That's such a Chad Baker Mazara thing, is what I thought was funny. All right. It really was a huge win over Arkansas, and they didn't have a dip either.
No.
We even brought the scrubs in and kept playing pretty highly well.
Jumped on them with both feet and never let up. Like you kept waiting for the lapse, and the lapse did not happen against Arkansas.
Never happened. That's right. Once we got up over 20, I don't think they ever got under 20 again. It kind of bounced between 25 and 20 the rest of the game, just depending on if we were scoring or turning it over. And yeah, so and we played Musalik.
We did.
He played a lot.
He played a while. I remember he played early in the season some because they like his defense. Yeah. And he played well in this game. He's good on defense, and he can handle the ball a little bit. So
I saw Steven said, why can't you hit it in the game like you hit shots in practice? So they're trying to get him to, the more he plays, the more that's probably just nerves. If you don't play very much,
I think, Simon Walker's not ready to play, I think, and Magwood was in the doghouse in this game. And so I think it was, that's the problem. We needed him to play, and he came in to play. Again, that Acuff guy for Arkansas, that guy's going to be a lottery pick in the NBA draft. He's a stud. And we had this walk-on guy out there guarding him a decent amount of the game. So
that's great. And doing all right.
That's right. So Auburn is still not a good defensive team. We're just like, okay, but that is a really, really good offensive basketball team. In Ken Palm, we're 9th in the country in offensive efficiency. Okay. So we are an elite offensive team. And so we're going to be able to score, put up points on just about anybody.
That's one reason why this season is becoming more interesting to me over time, is because knowing that we can score like this, even when like Tahad is cold or whatever, it means you don't know what's going to happen game to game, week to week. I just have no idea from one game to the next how they're going to, and it's interesting. I mean, I would rather feel like last year, confident we're going to win every game. That feels really good. I enjoyed the feeling I had last season every week, every game. But this is a different kind of an interesting feeling. This is like, oh, what are they going to do against this team? I don't know. That's, let's see. So, we talked about the players in the doghouse. We talked about we're at dinner. Overton and Hall told the team before the Arkansas game that they needed to play super hard and get the win for the fans. They're like, these fans keep selling out this arena and coming to see us, and we need to reward them. And that's good. I'm glad they were thinking that way.
Yes, it is. It's the truth. I mean, that's a great crowd and a great home court advantage, and they do need to have some good home wins occasionally. But also, I think we should win every home SEC game. That's my view of it. Like road games, we go 500 or worse. We should win the home games. We're gonna have Alabama at home later in the season. That'll be a challenge. We got some other good games, but we have to win the home games, and I think we can. Because the team is good and because Neville is such a huge advantage. And this is the right attitude. Like, we got to take care of the crowd because they're taking care of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. Upcoming Wednesday, we're recording this Sunday night, going to go up Sunday night, Monday morning, day early, because of my birthday. And that figures into this. That is relevant. So Monday is my birthday, and so we're having to record early. But then Wednesday is just so close that I'm treating myself, and I'm going to drive over to Columbia. I decided last week I wasn't going to do it, but since they played so well at Arkansas, they rewarded the fans in the stands. I'm going to reward them by going to see them at Columbia and yelling nice and loud in their arena. Doesn't hurt that several things occurred to me. One is, I went in to get tickets, and you could get a ticket to this game this morning for $13.
Nice. So, hey, if you're in the greater Missouri area, come on down.
If you're an Auburn fan, go get you a $13 ticket. Now, once I saw that, I thought, well, hey, how much would good tickets be? And so I'm like courtside, and I splurged for my birthday with some birthday money, and I spent $45 and got like basically courtside in Missouri. So I'll be there. Maybe I'll be on TV. You never know. You can look and see, depending on what side they put me on. So I'm going to make that trip, and I'm also making it because it dawned on me, I get off work on that Wednesday. See, usually the game is Tuesday at like 8, and there's just no way that I or my family could drive over there and get back at a reasonable time. You just couldn't. And plus, usually on Wednesdays, I have to go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. But see, this semester on Thursdays, I go in at 9:30. So the game is at 6. See, everything fell into place. So I'm going to leave work, go straight over there, go to Shakespeare's Pizza, get me some really good pizza, head straight to the game at 6 o'clock, be out of the arena by probably 8:30, be back home by 11:30. Don't have to go to work until 9:30 the next morning. It all just fits together perfectly.
Nice. We'll be looking for you on TV.
We lost John. Are you there?
I'm here. We'll be looking for you on TV.
Yes. All right. Good. Yeah, you dropped out for a minute. Probably something on this end. My internet's always annoying. Has been for 15 years now. Okay, so yeah, we look for me on TV, and that'll be the Missouri game. And then Saturday, January 17th, we welcome South Carolina. It seems like we're having a lot of home games. Is this like the home game heavy part of the schedule, and then we do a bunch of road trips?
We played again, after Missouri,
we get 2-2. Yeah. Well, I don't. Okay. But go ahead. I'm about to see.
Missouri, 57th in the country in KenPom. Solid team, but not a great team. 12-4 overall. But remember, they were good last year. They were, it was kind of a surprising contender in the SEC. South Carolina, the next team we play on Saturday, January 17th, is not good again. So.
Yeah, Missouri played Illinois. We saw that one on TV a couple of weeks ago, and Illinois hammered them pretty good. So I'm hoping that I'm not going to go and see a loss. But yeah, I did remember they were better last year than they had been. They didn't win a game 2 years ago. Yeah. And then last year they were a lot better. And then, so we'll see. But yeah, so yeah, that's right. So we start out at Georgia, and then Texas A&M, and then Arkansas, and then at Missouri. Okay, so 2-2. And then South Carolina will be 3-2. Okay. So, and that one's at 6 Eastern, 5 Central, Saturday the 17th. All right. Well, there is your hoops action going on currently and for the next week or so. We have one, as far as I can tell, right? We have one game left to go in the bowl pick'em. I'll point out that toward the end of our show tonight, we will do around the SEC, which isn't really the SEC anymore, but it's kind of like around college football. And we'll talk about a little bit about the playoffs. But what's going on with the bowl pick'em?
All right. It's been really fun. We have a large group in the bowl pick'em, and we had somebody, John Adzuki, was in another bowl group and added his picks to ours. And when he added them in, he appeared in first place. He sent me an email about it. We're going to read in a moment. He is in the top 99th percentile of ESPN pickers. So he's in first. Tied for second is myself and Cato the Barner. We're at 28-17.
You got to disallow this guy coming in late now.
We're gonna have some ruling from the judges on this, believe me. Then there's a big group, one game back, including Van, Patrick Williams, Walt Austin, Tony Perry, that are 27-18. So interesting. There's only one game to go.
Yeah. So, is it one of those things where you get more points depending on where it is in the playoff, or is it we're just going to get another point?
No, we did not do a weighted thing at all. It's just straight one game up, one game down.
So basically, if you are more than one spot down, you're effectively eliminated.
You are.
Okay. All right. So one game to go, and that's on the 19th, right? Monday night.
A week from It'll be during the podcast on Monday the 19th, so we can talk about that. So.
When did they start doing all these Monday night events? It's so weird. It's just like the Monday is the new Saturday. I saw somebody did a thing where they had the Nate Bargatze George Washington skit.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, we will have a sport called college football that is played on Saturday, and it will have playoffs one day, and they'll be played on Saturday, Monday. Why? Nobody knows. So yeah, that's great. All right. Well, we'll have to decide if we want to move the show again. It's like our show is slowly becoming a Sunday night show instead of a Monday night show. All right. Well, let's thank the patrons really quickly. I'm having an allergy attack or something. You'd think there's a cat living under my desk here.
Boris the Dagger.
Mm-hmm. It's not you, Boris. You're hypoallergenic. But I got to get through this. So let's see if I can get through this. Thank the patron. I'm sneezing. I'm sniffling. It's off. I got to go. I have to start a new semester tomorrow. I have 5 new college classes coming in starting tomorrow that I got to go over the syllabi with and talk about the papers and everything. And I don't need all this going on. Well, here we go. Our programs come to you via YouTube and on podcast apps, commercial free. Thanks to the great support of our patrons via patreon.com. If you will, if you'd like to help continue to have no commercials in our show, and we turn them down all the time, then just go to www.auwishbone.com, click on the big orange button to become a patron. While you're there, you might want to check out our lovely selection of books that are all available through Amazon. You can just click on the picture of the cover and get your book. You might want to check out our library of past episodes like We Believed. And I was just saying the other day, I realized at some point we could do our Gus Malzahn chapter of We Believe finally, since it's in the distance in history now. We can go ahead and do that. We might even want to throw the potato in on the end of it just to kind of cover both. God, we could even throw Freeze in there. I don't know. But anyway, the AU Wishbone podcast is presented to you ad-free thanks to all of our great patrons via patreon.com. Visit www.auwishbone.com and click on the big orange button to become a patron. We are always grateful to one of our title sponsors, the great Samuel Salvatore. And we have more from him coming up in a moment. We also have to thank Logan Chilton, who reminds us, what did we sacrifice to be Auburn fans? And of course, the answer is,
so what do I sacrifice? Everything.
That's right. Ben Spooner.
Blasphemy.
A lot of blasphemy going on. Carl Von Drunker, Chris and Clinton Stewart. Uh-oh, my Auburn football hope meter is going up again. I know. Earl Ricks, Phil Amthor, now giving Van and John a break from the no sound clip since the dismal years are over. I hope so too. I have confidence this time. Richard Stevens, Steve Trewick, Ann Pridgeon, Shane Bailey, Susan Trewick, Willie Carden, Matt Flowers. Play it again, man.
My head hurts, my feet stink, and I don't love Jesus. That kind of morning really was that kind of night.
Woohoo! Gary Grant, a.k.a. UFan at KSC, William Morgan, Bradley Blackman, Eric Morgan, Michael Kirshner. If Carol Shelby could see Alabama and Georgia fans, he'd say,
I don't speak Italian, but he ain't happy.
David W.D. Salmons, Esquire, Harry Zager, G. Money, Rich Reimer, Steve Harlan, Wes Atkinson, Auburn Bull Tigers. We are the South Florida Bama Bull Tigers. A few more patrons, then back to the authorities. Catherine England, no one fights like Gaston. War Eagle always. Jacob and Robin Fleming, Mickey B. Winston Body, washed up fantasy F1 team principal. That didn't take long to change. Brandon Smith, Daniel Odom, 2008-09 Taliban Wrangler world champion. That sounds like an action guy. Taliban Wrangler. H-Town Danny, WDE Richie, Chris Hilton, Ben Bloodworth, Bob, WDE Salmons, Auburn University debate team, 74-75, and current sleazy shyster. Algo Rhythm and Blues, Rusty Owens, goodbye you, hello happiness. Finally got that right. Luther and Kelly Ottaway. What do you call a wandering caveman? Oh, this is a new one, John. What do you call a wandering caveman? A Neanderthal. Oh, that's so good, yet horrible.
Ouch.
Todd Robinson, a.k.a. Undisputed 2012 Doubles Badminton Intramural Champion. Woody the Jag, the official 2024 Bowl Mania champion. About to crown a new one in that category. Chad McDowell, Auburn Footballs, Elvis, Wade Ward, Reynolds Wolf, Philip Martin, Jeff Hunter. A great day, comrades.
We sail into history.
Mm-hmm. Timothy, Russell Milling, Randall Walker, David Simpson, Josh Teal, Tony Perry. You know, John, the scary thing is not that I have Russian-themed stuff on the soundboard now. The scary thing is how much I had even before we even thought about hiring Golesh. We had it just here ready.
We were prepared.
Yeah. It was like one day, John, one day Auburn will have a coach born in Russia and we will need these sound effects. We just knew. And of course, we also have Boris the Siberian Tiger. So there's a lot. We were prepared, man.
We were ready.
Rob Morgan, Patrick Williams says the AU wishbone is simply,
whether you like it or not, learn to love it because it's the best thing going today. Woo!
That's right. Shannon Butson, Construction Tiger, Papa Todd, Cato, the SEC Pick'em Champion, Stephen Houston, Kevin Mahan, Blake Heron, Sarah Hines, Sasquatch, 7 times North America hide and seek champ, will play OT for the right NIL money since we have plenty available now. Well, I don't know if we have plenty available now that we just gone shopping the last couple of days. It feels like we just went to the mall, took our teenage kid to the mall the last couple of days, and that kid really wanted some running backs and a quarterback or two. Tim Pittman, the aforementioned Boris the Tiger. What? Charles Mooney, what do you call 2 men hanging from a window? Curtain rod. Oh, God. Woo. We used to be even more than this. We're down to like 2 people doing this now. David D, Auburn Blue, Doc Crackham, Bill Weathers, Eternal Glory. Walt is ready for actual offensive game plans because we all know the average risky doesn't take a dump without a son, doesn't take a dump son without a plan. I got going too fast there. Antoine Morris, ABB, Wiggeber, that would be the 2005 AU Intramural Horseshoes champion. Tyler Ward, 2025 War Ready Bracket champion. Mark Squire, up, cue the anthem, boys. You know who's number 1. Auburn, number 1. Golesh, number 1. Byron Brown, number 1. Not Bryce Brown. There we go. I had to let it go a little bit because my breathing kind of came back while we were doing that. So the Russian national anthem is good for your respiratory system. Alex Nguyen, Kenneth Brent Raines, the barbecue.
You have failed me for the last time.
AKA Auburn Dad for Life. John Stubbs, Clay Henson, Justin Bean, James Taylor, and finally, our last few. Ruth and Darren Sutherland, Stephen Thompson, Ben Amos, Spanky. What is the difference between Iron Man and Aluminum Man? Iron Man stops bad guys. Aluminum Man just foils their plan. Chris Como, Darren Pyle, Theodore Gary, David Smiley, Trevor Johnson, Royce Alvarez, college equestrian expert Auburn Elvis, AU Falling Up, John Otsuki, Paul Banks, and MVP captivating Kathy Bright. Oh,
Your
John.
love of the halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind.
You and I have business that Kathy pointed out. It turns out we had another tie. I miscounted. I did not score you properly during our Lord of the Rings annual Christmas trivia battle.
Thank you, Kathy, for bringing this miscarriage of justice to the harsh light of reality. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks a lot, Kathy. Mind your own dang business next time, Kathy. No, and by the way, before we straighten that out, congratulations to Kathy, who actually said she beat us both this time. And I good on her. She said that she's come close and been competitive with us, but this is, I think, the first time she beat both of us. So, hold on. So
Please clap.
That's right. And all I can do in terms of your score, John,
Blame yourself.
that's all I can do. But I thought that I won, but apparently
I don't have facts to back this up.
So it turns out we tied. So that would be our third tie in 10 years, which is pretty crazy. All right,
how competitive that contest is. It's good.
It is. Well, whenever one of us wins, it's by like one. So Ben Regas, Bobby Polite, Elizabeth Donald, I'll buy this for $1, Rich Hammett, Chris Braun, Alex Brown, Siberian Tiger, but not Boris, the Slinko family, Daniel Witten, Tim Sauls, Jim McCrory. I will lick the toes of you. I will not lick the toes of you. I do not like the toes of whoa, I am Tiger. I'm not a hoe. Oh, God. New York Tiger once fought for 2 days with... We have another Kingdom of Heaven quote, and it's not from me. New York Tiger says, New York Tiger once fought for 2 days with an arrow through his testicle. That's a Liam Neeson line where he's getting ready to fight his brother's men in the woods there outside in France. That's so good. Pour me some more wine. Steve Bailey, CT Tiger, Jim Myers, Trey Jackson, Howard Franz. Well, you broke the arrow off. Peter Wang, Willie Moe, Zach Doran, Chris, and our one-time and anonymous donors. We thank you all. Keep our show commercial free. No ads, no ads, no ads. Go to www.auwishbone.com. Coming up, we have listener questions and around college football. But first, it is time for our semi-occasional weekly look at the nincompoops, knuckleheads, and nimrods that collectively constitute this week's worst coaches in the world. Brought to you by title sponsor Samuel Salvatore. And Samuel has some nominations for us this week. Here we go. And thank you, Samuel, for these. Nate Oates. Oh, I'm there for this. I'm there for Nate Oates. Samuel says Nate Oates seriously went out in front of the public and said Vanderbilt has played a light schedule and had no choice but to eat his words after taking it on the chin. And then they not turn around and lost to Texas. They turned around and lost to Texas.
A bad Texas team.
Yes.
In Tuscaloosa.
Like that ever matters. Alabama has never been solid on defense at all under his regime, and it's still an issue. And he relies on one player and rides him like a horse until other teams either take him away or have a flat tire. Sears Philon is a good example of a coach like that is now the current offensive coordinator at FSU. Oh, okay. A little veiled shot at somebody there, we know. Only has a Final Four appearance because of the bracket they played to get there. 3 cupcakes until UConn embarrassed them in the Final Four. Preach, Samuel. Samuel is preaching. He's got it going here. And then he had Mark Pope. We're throwing him on there, throwing him under the bus too. Kentucky has 6 losses already, which is very rare in basketball. Freeze 2.0 has very good talent, brought from the portal, but can't coach it right, just like Hugh Freeze. Ouch! And a glaring 0-2 start in SEC play in year 2, and it's only going to get worse for UK Nation. Man, Samuel, our title sponsor this week, is throwing some heat, throwing some fastballs at Nate Oates and Mark Pope, this week's worst coaches in the world. Oh, I love it when the music works out perfectly like that.
Thank you. Order. Questions to the Prime Minister.
It's time for listener questions. Dun, 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 on the AU Wishbone podcast.
What's in the mailbag, John?
First email is from Bull Pick'em Contest rapscallion John Atsuki, who says, "Hey, Van and John, I was listening to Wishbone and I checked my ESPN account and it turns out I never joined the Pick'em. I joined with my only entry and I'm in first place, but understand if you don't want to count me because I didn't join until now." This was Tuesday, January 6th. "I just want to give you a heads up when y'all log in and see a new person at first, despite no previous games being played. War Eagle John."
Oof. John woke up that morning feeling good about things, and then the first thing he thought was, no! And the second thing he did was
Smoke weed every day.
to cope with it.
Right.
Oh
tough.
my goodness. Yeah. So John looked at that. John looked at that application to join and said,
Wrong!
To lock these down in the future. All right.
So good.
All right,
I'm just looking for more things to play. So you carry on. I'm just looking for buttons to push at this point.
The next email is from friend of the podcast, Jared, who says, question for this week's
John looked at Atsuki and said,
Well, bye.
Carry on. What did Jared say? I'm sorry.
Question from friend of the podcast, Jared, who says he sent in a question for this week since he did not have a guess the game to send in. So if you have a guess that we're going to start here is if you have a guess the game idea, please send it to Jared and let him know so he can include that yard sale artist. So he says, there's been a lot of social media chatter about how SEC fans do not root for other SEC teams. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I rooted for Miami to beat Ole Miss because I knew how insufferable that fan base would be if they won a natty. The question, if you had to, with a gun to your head, had to support another SEC school to win a natty, which team would it be? He says, for me, I would have been Vanderbilt for years, but Diego has soured me a bit on them. At this moment, Missouri. I've never met an obnoxious Missouri fan. I almost met Kentucky, but then I remembered how their basketball fans act.
All right. He could have just shortened that by one word because I've lived in the greater metro St. Louis area for 20 years now, and I'm not sure I've met a Missouri fan, much less a rabid Missouri fan. I assume they're out there. I occasionally see people with the jackets on or the shirts or something, but very rarely. Very rarely. So that's a good point. I was going to say Texas.
I think I'm going to say Texas too, because I think it would make the other blue bloods in the SEC angry, and they're good. Texas fans are going to be obnoxious whether they win a national title or not.
Exactly. That's the thing.
That's not changing anything.
And they don't have any effect on us. We're over here. It's kind of like they're on the other side of the ocean in Texas, right? They can have all the national championships they want.
We understand geography. Keep going.
Yes, exactly. On the other side of that inland sea. But no, I mean, Texas wins something. It doesn't affect me. I don't deal with them. I'm sure A&M wouldn't want it, but I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But Missouri is the next
plus. That's not a negative.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
A&M being sad. That's an extra bonus reason for it.
Yeah. But it is a good question. I mean, see, here's the thing, though. The rest of y'all live so far away from Missouri that you're kind of like with Texas. It's like, who cares? You're off on the other side of the planet.
Yeah, but like, I don't want LSU to win anything ever again.
No.
Win anything. I don't want Tennessee to win anything. So
none of the big six, including us, plus the two new. There's the big six and the two new, and I don't want them to win anything.
I don't want Oklahoma to win.
No, Texas is the most harmless of them, or the least harmful, I would say. But Missouri is what I'm trying to get at is Texas and Missouri are both good options, but just for different reasons, right? For Texas, it's just they're so not even. I haven't even processed them being in the conference yet, so it's almost like the Big 12 winning a championship if they win it, and for Missouri, they don't care, so I wouldn't have to hear about it.
I think for third, I would pick Mississippi State.
Well, what would they? How would they act? I don't know.
I know some Mississippi State fans. I think they'd probably be obnoxious, but it would really make Ole Miss and Alabama fans angry, and they would just be like so ecstatic about it. I'd be happy. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember when like Mississippi State got into the Final Four in basketball like 20 years ago, and Ole Miss was melting down about it, and then they made the hats and left state off of it. It just said Mississippi, and then the Mississippi State people were melting down. So that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
That's a good question. All right. Last question comes from SJVS World Tour on Twitter, who says, I started listening to last week's show, and a question comes to my mind. I'm seeing some 3-star commits, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I can remember a past coach that was good at recognizing talent. He didn't necessarily get the highest rated recruiting classes, but he recruited great players. Who am I talking about?
Either Tuberville or Dye, right?
Mm-hmm. He didn't give me the answer, so he's leaving it to us to answer. So
when Pat Dye was our coach, you didn't have the recruiting rankings the way you do now. Not like you do now, where everybody knew what they were constantly. And so we never really, it's funny, the whole time Pat Dye was coach, I never really had a sense of how good our recruiting classes were. I just had confidence that come September or August, he's going to stick a good team out there, and more often than not, he did. But by Tuberville, we were keeping track of it and everything. And then, that would be my guess because Tuberville tended to bring in classes that were not necessarily top 10, but he was good at, he'd get good players individually, like Cadillac or Jason or whatever. And then he could, he would have some good assistants along the way, coach them up, as they say.
He brought in more talent though, I think, than Dye did. So I like Pat Dye's answer.
Okay.
All right, that's it for listener questions.
Well, I apologize. Our listeners probably were going to send something in the next 24 hours, and here I am making.
We'll have more questions next week.
All right, that's cool. All right, so let's look around the SEC without the music that'll get us bumped off of YouTube. So Cam Coleman, we were just talking about how we'd rather good things happen to Texas because it doesn't really bother us. And that's kind of what I was thinking about, was how Cam Coleman going to Texas, I was like, that's the best place for me. He could have gone, honestly.
And because a lot of Alabama fans thought it was a done deal, they were going to get him. And then him going to Texas was like.
That was so good. Yeah, the Alabama people thought they had him locked down.
And then an hour after he announced, running back Hollywood Smothers, who had been at NC State last year and had been not just committed to Alabama, but had enrolled in classes at Alabama, canceled his commitment to them and signed with Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay, we had a little audio drop out again. He said running back Hollywood Smothers from NC State is who he was talking about, who John was talking about just then.
Yes.
So he had already started classes and everything?
He had enrolled in classes at Alabama, canceled that, and signed with Texas and is going there.
What happened?
Well, I mean, you could guess it involves green pieces of paper. So
yeah, I guess.
It's just funny because it and the Cam Coleman thing both happened to Alabama today.
That's crazy. It's great and it's hilarious, but I'm starting to feel like Nick Saban. Is this what we want football to be? You know, so
No, it's not. But as long as it keeps happening in Alabama, I'm not going to complain about it. So, and then lastly, you know, we don't want to talk about this a lot, but Deuce Knight signed with Ole Miss. So that's what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of saw that coming because it really, I think, was hinging on Trinidad Chambliss being able to come back, and it didn't look like he was going to be able to come back. Yeah. So he's basically getting $80 bajillion and the starting job at Ole Miss. So
that's right.
The question that I have, and this is going to be interesting to see next year, how good will Ole Miss be going forward without Lane Kiffin?
And without those offensive coaches who are, you know, not going to continue. So
is who's their offensive coordinator? The Giants,
Charlie Weiss Jr.
Is he going to LSU now?
Yes.
How did he get to hang around and Kiffin didn't?
The schools worked out a deal where originally Kiffin was going to, you know, take them all with him, and then he worked out a deal for them to continue to coach Ole Miss part of the time for the playoffs. So, but there were other coaches who coached like the first playoff game and did not coach the playoff game. They stayed at LSU after the first playoff game.
I'd be so mad if I was an Ole Miss fan, and I just hope. I wish nothing but failure on LSU now. Is anybody rooting for LSU to succeed now besides LSU fans?
No.
Golly. I mean, so, well, all right. Well, there you go. Let's see. The results, Miami beat Ole Miss in a great game, 31-27. Didn't you just keep thinking at any moment Miami's going to put the hammer down, and they never could?
Yep.
Ole Miss. And then I was texting one of my colleagues at work. I said, Ole Miss scored too quick. And then I said, oh, wait, Miami scored too quick. And they're like, oh, wait, Ole Miss scored too quick. And it was like, they got all like the whole game was fairly low scoring. And then like the last 5 minutes, they went bang, 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 you know. So what about that Ole Miss kicker?
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
He was crazy. Yeah. I'm glad that they lost by 4 because he hit the one off the post. Didn't he hit 2 off the post and one of them bounced off and one went in? Yeah. I think the first one bounced off and then the second one hit the post and actually angled in. So he was 1 of 2 hitting the post, which is crazy. Indiana just absolutely. It's crazy to say in a game that ended 56-22 that the game was not that close. That's an optical illusion. It was not that close. It was more like 56-8, and then they got a couple of junk touchdowns late. That's unbelievable. So what that means is a week from Monday, January 19th at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern, during the podcast, what to figure out what we're going to do, you have Indiana versus Miami. So your thoughts on that before we wrap up tonight?
I mean, Indiana is rolling, right? They seem like a juggernaut. The game is in Miami at the Miami Stadium. That Miami defense is really good. Those 2 defensive ends are really good. I think they're going to cause problems for Indiana's offense, but it's tough to pick against Indiana right now. They're, offense, defense, running game, passing game, they're doing it all. And so I think it's going to be a good game, and I think Miami is going to, hang around better than Oregon did. Oregon had a lot of injuries, receiver and running back. They were literally converting defensive backs to running back this week to be backup running back. So they don't have the same, depth and talent they had at the start of the season. So, but I think Miami, is playing well with a lot of confidence. But I don't think they can beat Oregon, right? I mean, beat Indiana right now. I just don't think they can.
I was saying watching Miami and Ole Miss, I said this feels like watching back in the 80s and the 90s, watching an AFC championship game before an NFC championship game, right? Where like the Broncos and the Chiefs or somebody would play for the right to get destroyed by the Redskins or the Giants or the Cowboys 50-0 in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And Miami's going to try to grind it out win the battle of the offensive lines and all that. I don't think Indiana's going to let them do that at all. I think it's a whole different situation from Ole Miss.
It is. I do think those two Miami defensive ends are so good they can get pressure against anybody, including the Indiana guys, but it's not enough. I mean,
Yeah,
and like can Carson Beck play the game without turning the ball over against these guys? I don't see it.
I can see a first half that's fairly close. Miami just trying to keep away, grinding it out a little bit. But by the end of the third quarter, I think Indiana by 14 to 20 points, and they're going to start piling on after that.
Yes, and if you haven't seen, the ticket prices for this game are insane. Indiana has the largest living fan base of any college in America. Living alumni base. Yes, because it's a huge school and it's the big state school there. So they have in Miami, and the game is in Miami, and Miami hasn't been to the championship game since 2002. So both fan bases are desperate to go, and ticket prices for upper deck seats are like $4,000.
That's like Auburn and Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
We have a whole chapter in our most recent book about how the ticket prices for our championship game, which was, by the way, we're recording this on January 11th. Yesterday, John, was the 15th anniversary of the Auburn-Oregon national championship game.
That's great.
15
Big
years.
Day.
That's why we put the book out when we did, was to mark the occasion. So, all right. So that should be a fun one.
It is. And I just thinking about that game, Indiana against Miami, I think it just shows a couple of things. One is anybody can make the freaking playoff in the national title game. Anybody. Okay. I mean, these two teams have been kind of blah the last 15 years, and they hired good coaches, recruited the right players, developed, and they're in the playoff. And now they're in, and then Miami barely made the playoff, and now they're in the national title game. And I think it's good for the sport because it's not just the same 3 or 4 or 5 teams. And once we have this kind of tournament, anybody can win it, not just the Georgias and Ohio State. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that it's Indiana, Miami, and not like Alabama, Georgia, or LSU, Clemson, or for a while there we were in just such a rut.
Yes,
and hopefully we'll get some churn now with the, we've talked a lot, or we've heard people talking a lot about all the negative side of the new way that college football is, right? But hopefully there'll be some improvements too, and one of them will be things like getting not just different teams, but completely different teams.
Yes,
in the playoffs. So that should be fun. So, all right, before I start sneezing again, I'm going to wrap it up. So, any final thoughts? Just wrap it up tonight.
Just great win by the basketball team, and it always makes me sad when college football season is ending.
Absolutely. But hey, I'll see y'all in Columbia. Look for me on TV. Our time is up. We thank you for yours. War Eagle John.
War Eagle Man.